So I've got this little cedar that had a bunch of limbs break out on it in the last snow. So I'm going to go up. We're going to clean that up. I've set my line. I'm going to pull it up anyway in this pine, nearby pine. What I'll do is I'll put a pre-redirect from that pine that brings me up the cedar. And then when I get to the top of the cedar, I'll swing over to the pine and we'll go up to the tie-in point. There's some dead stuff up in that pine that we might as well take out at the moment. I put a tag line. This is my fairly short, it's about 100-foot climbing line, and I've set a power cord on there for retrieval, just on a tag line. My zigzag and midline attachable cambium saver is going to go up, and I'll be climbing. So let me get that configured right. So there's my tag line. Will be retrievable, make my line retrievable. So I'm going to be climbing on the SRT, but on the DDRT, with the DDRT zigzag, DMRT zigzag on the tail. So I'll use that when it comes time to swing from the cedar back over to the pine. So we'll pull that up and set it, and then I'll throw my little redirect and get this set for the redirect. Alright, a bit of wind's kicking up, and I think we'll be okay. So there's the tail, there's my SRT line. I pulled a pre-redirect up to the cedar. I'll clean that cedar up on my way up, and then I'll use the DDRT tail and use that to swing myself over to the pine and continue up the pine and clean it up. This is the worst part of pulling vines out of a tree with your throw line. Thing about climbing with the tail is if you put a loop like that down there, just be careful you're not dropping something on the loop. But it is nice to keep your line off the ground. so tie it in once, twice, once. That becomes one. Any way you look at it, I'm secured with one right there. Now if I take my lanyard and I pass it around the tree and I secure it to my D's, that makes two. And the advantage is that if you're whacking around with a chainsaw and you hit this guy, you got this guy. If you hit this guy, hopefully you'll miss that guy. Now I can also take and put my lanyard on my paws, and once again I have 1 and 2 connections, and hopefully, unless I'm too crazy with my chainsaw, I'll whack one but I won't whack both. Now if you take your lanyard and if you try to consider that twice and they're connected to the same point, in other words, I'm using the two ends of my lanyard, I take my other carabiner and I attach these to the same place. Look at how easy it is to whack both of those at the same time. That's the intent of that ANSI code, is that it tries to give you some protection when you're using a cutting device. And I don't care if it's a chainsaw, if it's a pruning saw, your life support lines need to have some separation, and there needs to be 2 of them. And over we go. Get my legs off of that too. There we go. Okay. Not really a double-ended lanyard, just using the tail, but I'm busy with this one on my suspension points. This side comes to my D's, and I do like this. I know a lot of guys don't like these, but I just want something that I can do with one hand easily and not have to worry about whether I'm pushing or pulling a carabiner. Same thing with a snap. So now I've got a connection to my D's and a suspension point. I can renegotiate my tie-in point. Okay, so once you're up here, it makes it really nice because you can see much better where that anchor is going to go. So I've tied, dressed, set, and verified my Alpine Butterfly. It'll go up and cinch right next to the trunk on a secure anchor, and I'll finish going up and taking out the last little bit of deadwood on this guy. There's all my gear. There's that tree cleaned up and that pine cleaned up.